Buenos días a todos, buen día. Agradecer a la comunidad HIBA y agradecer a todos los seguidores del proyecto HIBA y que están presentes aquí en este evento que hemos organizado desde la Fundación Finnova, que es un beneficiario del proyecto HIBA Plus, en colaboración con otro beneficiario más del proyecto, el Instituto
The Institute. National Institute of Agricultural and Veterinary Research, INIAF, with our colleague Jose de Silvestre and also collaboration with our comrade Katia Pinto. Let's go to work on this day in a sector that is Vera, digitalization, the agri-food sector. And let's go.
Por tres personas especializadas en tema de digitalización, le puedan ser útil a sus negocios, le puedan ser útil en ese proceso de escalado de productos, procesos y servicios y que puedan incorporar cada vez más lo que es la digitalización en sus procesos. Estamos abiertos a cualquier tipo de consulta.
Let's delve into the importance of digitalization to see if these key ICT tips that we are going to give you by 3 people specialized in digitalization can be useful to your businesses, can be useful in that process of scaling products, process and service, and that you can increasingly incorporate what digitalization is in your processes. We are open to any type of query. Additional that they can write to us. We are going to put them throughout the day 1 QR so that they can ask their questions and then we can raise them. The speakers? Well, these questions, and if you have it nothing happens, we are going to enjoy those tips that they're going to give us. Our 3 colleagues Katia Paints from Grip Food Tech Portugal, Jose Silvestre, serious researcher at INIAF, National Institute of Agricultural and Veterinary Research, and also of our colleague Eduardo Mercado from the Finnova Foundation. Some delay, let's start by reminding you that on another channel that you have access to, it is being translated simultaneously into Portuguese and English. You can follow this day in the 3 languages. We started with our partner Katia Pinto and Jose Silvestre in that first block of digital application to agricultural research products in Portugal, and let's go to present some success stories. Therefore, Katia, you have the word Joseph. Simultaneously you can do that block. We start with Katia and end with you, Jose, and finally we move on to Eduardo Mercado. Thanks a lot. Katia, thank you very much, Jose. Thank you very much to Eduardo. Well, many good morning. I'm going to try to speak in Portugal to see. Well, you talk to Nuria in Portuguese. How do you want to speak Portuguese? Because we have both. The 2 languages are official languages of this program. Poster interest. The DAO we prefer to combine both to the tongue. You can fail in Porto of both YY Eduardo is going to fail in Spanish. Okay, so we know that no one is going to sleep. I had them all one day. It's more very warm. Do you compete in purchases to dance with BOS? On this issue of continuity there is no reason that we are not seeing it easy. Dordi Sans, we are not in the opinion of what project or EVA was going to arrive first. Lama big, useful, and what a lonely work team. Or that there was 3-0 that pretty much almost everything. The level of Portugal. That is, Cook Nortium's end of a fence. I thought, excuse me because I can't get all your helmets presented, you made several. And every event at the level of Cook Fashionedith, then we are in all agri-food. 3 demos from here to history of some projects situates. So much level of sound diversity, so much level of companies. Our morning was going to the territory. I think it is very long. And many of them. Here I already have cross-border protrusions. I have bought by curving. I am already in Trabalho Free Fight Toilet project. It knows tools days of this in this Salo online Steven stand by beats both Alto Portugal with Paul Art Spain. And that indeed, when we turn to health, the agri-food sector. It is very important that we first stay here at a bare agricultural center, so much level Portugal. Both level on the Spanish side and not. And indeed, during 2022 and 2023, they were a managed effect. Speed is Portugal, Spain. Umberto is quite instantaneous. We gain space for dialogue. Uneasy. These blues. Forum fight expert and friend, agro different sector, Philadelphia, fruticulture and also particultura. In Spain, let's inactivate the agricultural part. I mix background, as I intended to be different players. Do so many producers preside over so much sector? Agrico Fruits Technologies is those companies. And have entity, do not have 1 foot of political influencer. We met older. Here we use the need for first sector sizes. We can say that there were quite a few sessions. We like ink on top, learning incredible. The entire industry connected and indemis like Cetal. In the mice with these princess technology entities. Not in mindful stay, Colonel. Plosny we thought we could see Trabala, and since I've been there it was a dream, Don. The level of Kung Fu, first grape. And that when we judge all this information, not territory. Regardless of Kiksang. It's different for Leda. SD Sweet you inherited very Smith and serve you go like this, Docnut, poised to India Anival here a lot promoted. Inside a smartphone collab like Pure Guinea. There was for this information if the politicians. Nor did I fund with these. Dolce allow you to say so in a very degree background at the level of subject in your own Ministry of Agriculture. Your deviations from a mystery of economics are hidden, because we. Geomet you must provide us with all this information. And one of the accounting things? Regardless of the fact that we are Philadelphia's agri. It was in the city more than their signatures. Educated in agreement with the public. And above all, this is blue, very oriented so that they Uxan, Full Sun, and Fijamientes. And it's not a perfect exception in Portugal and the feeling voted in existence of need for these living demonstrations, the living law. It didn't work, so many companies could prove there. It is not that the size of the sector here is pure, it's technical agricultural producers. Doubt is a topic of intercontact with these. As the government take music. And when it's very beautiful, then with the agricules, which is very important, we're components a lot. Practice and disable. And you three in the technology expunitives and above all, connectivity or don't you know anymore? Both in Spanish, and it is a European problem, a global problem. Some issues on the part of connectivity where you swear and urban areas with quite a few internal connectivity problems. And nos screamos teclas and at all times IT Miguel product from a point, indeed, dance and a lot. He promoted all these synods. In 2 different tashes. A point that is fundamental to FAG we have a lot of data. It is not that this interoperability component is indeed missing. But we had more concrete reasons. Technology and indeed, millions here, although not. Phyla agricultural that you owe more alert technologies and we provincially much important. And applied here, which will not serve nourishment, that is, our own geography, the culture itself many times that we make all the culture. In agriculture, less than culture is not formed, that is, in terms of our own press. Sectoral movement. We characterize 9 by 70 bine. That I have transverted. Because we have put bureaucratic ones. A great vest and, that is, what a very great city of this process. To take immensity, reduce time, export its tenders to support financing, then we visit Phallus. From August Mitzelums, Diane's, that is, Second and Sanch. Approved and well, masters, at ground level it is remedied, we are not here a machine. Issue of opportunities that ends up being a lost, that here you can a continuity at the market level we could also be lost. And then he has a Mayan fund equator that 6 sets 30. And we gave ourselves the equipment with our own services. And something very important, Elias. In Portugal and Spain and we have several centers here. Not only is discovery more distinct from consciousness, and other entities that allow us to be false brokers here allow this expression to be caused. Between Kunkitni and I approved for Samuel Greco. And why? Why do we get more involved in academia? We make this Cocaria San Juan Academia. To promote ourselves. Did not use transfer of QK Institute Isabel Volvimiento. What do productive academic emails produce? They will see with that this you cover areas of extended that covers blood, signs of extinction and why. At this time product 3 has gone in Smiths of first-gen profiles. But it is not we return the level also of own economy. And indeed, when? To summarize all these rows. Not Manuel Schwartz. We that my efforts and easily in technology is very interesting in the agricultural sector. And in recent years we have several drawings. I was wrong, this is technology snakestone at. As much attitude as the Spanish one we have a writing and compartmental. Ford, we have several entities that I'll effectively use that these entities also communicate with each other in a simple way. We have an agricultural sector, it diversifies. Is the internet this opportunity? Let's not forget that you owe corn. As a matter of greater efficiency and productivity, we live detecting environmental sustainability. We have set economic and social issues. All of you who must mind may the government, that they matter very much. International market that a great opportunity too, because of Torrevige's movements. With everything that. We continue to several digital Digo data and some of several projects can already be presented. Her fortune is questioned here democratizes sound technological. What is essential to reverse this situation of digital inequality? Faulted himself, Queens. And many times you lack the social knowledge of non-use. It uses soundtour technology, SMS technology, sporting insist. The agri-food sector level. And a big problem, he predicted. And we facilitate the work. And also bro-coded molding faults. With your moves is not moving. The harmful days? You owe me reteachings of moving. They make rumbers, existence both parts and parts of organizations. Here one existential kilometer is Muden. And here a test of being Fato the Curtilian layers, obviously. We continue the topic of dependence on technology. Jackson says that. Do we think that technology will trouble us the most? Is there anything important that technos lead to support? There were Frementes de Dick, armed with aids. I made an accompaniment to a pilgrim completely different from what we are going to do. An official who is going to support us? And they fail us, that you differ. Who founded it? In Great VAT it is not a level, Portugal is not a level of Spain, it is not a European level. And at the global level. Maxim of information that we currently do not live and that also ends up possibly dangerous. Obviously you see me coinciding at a sector level. Agri-food, territories, they do not register, they penetrate. We are not wrong with a swing technology that is an agri-food sector. The level of one's own territory. In this case, at the Portugal level, in a previous project, VAT was an approach. It's your environment, I insist. The Bounce project is interested in information between several projects. An equo, a scarce international loan winter Spain-Portugal in these matters. Instinct measured, a greater territory is going to be breached. UN travalish no anterior y venu atalend. It's not club food, it was woled venter in the mice. Agro-technological structures incense you science, competence you service. Niscas, varying to Intello and also percent of Portugal. I'm a job. Fighting pie string between smartphones and Fundesit. Ecuador smartphone collapse is a variable approach in Portugal and merges located in Spain, starting from Extremadura, and EPSA coexist in other structures of which asphalt is here North American, Portugal. There are simple ones missing. It's not that it's teams that MOMU informs you of, it's very important from Kukixahas to Tibs. Agrotechnologues, two main ones were identified. Inob Competition Center and other essential infrastructures for Deep will promote this digital sector. Albums of the feet on the day of the whole. GTA1 Everyone project and manage fog. Use match, Farmery collab. He tells us that other very important infrastructures in this region are distinguent competent, for example, Quartan that is still the same. It is a competition center. For word Pertico when of the cable mucho natal, Michael Technologies. Its virtue of dignity, for example increased and then 200 compensate so much for the magazine and what the cultures are for later. And other entities such as Inoff Band, Pocket or Institute Politecnico. As it is by Jorge Sam. Structures, main structures, both 90 and Sucumbus in Portugal. It's not that there's a very identified store missing here. And obviously we know each other sector. We are matched by their own territory. Obviously you did a substake and extensify project. Fights, the last few years. And that I am founded an eighth to present several. A long time too, no, I have not also allowed that, there is already worship. And you what August? I think they are important, bills, the total digital project. You didn't cast a funded project. Had some national duplier of Insulma. Duma, financing calls from the Ministry of Agriculture. Quat agriculture, 0 point and nothing else. They come down with projects, it would be a very strong project. Why? Because I have the aspects. Point of view. Democratizes San Tecnologico, zero civil technology. And on the other hand, the digital I3C, that is, already with Magnus pilots, are from set. The Techendries by Stevens Bark Custom Elvis others Aries pilots with Basnus Datsu fawns. To train or train. As many agricultural technicians as those of the farmer. This is a project of Trildens, Museum, Term and Profound, Palencia Freed. An older smartphone? Entity the technical play is very important to situate approach stacking allow to highlight the product Amos here on a panel of wild. Already with Minecraft Fragrit were teens nights. I made a mistake in setting up the structure of projects. Indeed, to a 3-dance project as being producer. Isn't it fundamental for you to pursue from this project, especially? I explore, integrate, that is, a project destined to. I have produced different Philadelphia no teams. 6 agricultural remlides involved. A project in success and without size, of a large project that rather mobilizes within size that today is the fault. And before you want to use Lautech for Green, which is a project led by the Treasury. And they all create different WPS. I insist, an exclusive now that I have a Persige, a company at the Portuguese advertising level at Atomics. In smartphones, a company that impacted Evenable functionally software and a university that innovates. And basically that this project is in. Elvisa, to breed a gunpowder deep is so intelligent, selective. In that my own machine has precisely employed that use the factors of production and start from another. I'm a robot. Nuria Hissist was a Jobu who was returning a previous project. In that with this poverty base is scarce and hydrostatic. Have you been Barry on your half of Sputma level? And that we had here an automatic Quascalite Kenism. Of this advertising and Conskino Softwing 7 own plant more dimensioned its treatment. In accordance with our own, which does not ask for its own plant, need to level its own treatment, we said so. Very sustainable takes, obviously KISS fail for space, it needs in several stages. From ham, motor issues also do not have an impact either. Ocampo is wrong. Integrate all this information until your data is inter-tested. In a single system and it ends all for your advertising equipment are the senses of operationalizing, because here we are not working with Stufis and moving to Dukan level, which is completely different. Obviously, as I would say, this other project in events is already over. Nuria is now. Sound to Commercialize Sound is a project that theme was released, Mix It Dish but 650% unit. In account Andy or smartphones and several universities and also companies. And you deepened a design project, that is, humanity, let's say. Brides, what part of the product? Did you ask us, why? Why did you make me kiss you? This lack of maneuver? The level of the agricultural sector. The church in which they are not neutralized. And that this mixed product meta-localized. What is happening right now in this great Ford president? Hence Uxum, we hide, article. And basically this 125 because it's a you have a vehicle that was a Kevin Moore face. And what can you have this job? This arm did not fund mechanical in tomato school phase, according to museum caliber or according to its nature, I say the Lord, why? Because the same autonomous vehicle can be somewhere else or another piece of equipment, in this case a minipopulator. Like a cry of blood, hydrostatics. And that allows us the intravelum symptom. And more sustainable in here? The grey your own is a low level of stoves. So we have published a sound made as the greatest president and at the same time you see me, please, several chambers of the historic foundation. The Keki and that the president own plant. For in the background, to link is its exactivity, that is, there is a continuous process that. A 30-minute of a digital twin herewith. Polytechnic Institute. Insulin, a Sound Award Prize. In 2023 and a World Fair Affair was already presented. In Toulouse, that a baby is older fair of robotic status and that humorist in this phase embolizes because. And that it will be commercialized, we also hope. Limp Reg. This event and makes a self-entity at the national level that still X-Tech at the northern level total next tech convergence are not national, a month that prevail with many processes already from a project. European score. Hector, I dance a lot of custom sizing to my hobos. So for the better, I know. Products, agricultural stories, and also agro foods, such and I confuse. Estudios de volvimiento sound prits no return. Of strobe danvid always this case is. In Bogota, Maine, with grey R in allow me much greater economy from here than the day, this economic me to the products must be used. Here, obviously, he is not. It is functional just with Mary, with something I did not have, I do not have what type of product there are no pregos. The confused of the title in all this. This machinery is still there. Anna may think sale that you are worth a lot of club than the house movement. For Lucai's extremes, in this case they are for vineyards. I doubt that we do not know that these are ends that are also considered heroic. Completely friends did not use the level. Did you do equipment in other projects that you have seen an integrated project? Inside a European postcard within a European puzzle that's still. Especially health of municipal states. Here at the national level I am the only small project in project. Libra de Dagger, our researcher George Felix. Icon background extrata here something very important there is no why. In the Times here, Nissan is. The last few years and that basically at the municipal level of this project and its life, that a dialogue you do not see more of differences, not only that they are local public-private. Isn't it the same as you know each other? What data about Bobby Disney is not enough for words. And let's substitute that there is no point of view in their participatives, not that we fail with our own. Expropriation source and something that very important in this project that for law to return different acts of which sport very instructive. This is major, Sims, Scold, Agricus, Mr. Minders, Matcha signs. Because and why is this important message that it is safe? We don't understand, there are no excellent microbes. It is that this is defined of Sun and among others and not sense that all these details of participatory courses. Tutorial for Julian Torbellans. We are gearing Preston interesting is not inside Quayuk. European use Tumbus well, after this other allies in Spain times, the one that are the Pauls and digital. At the Portuguese level, it has agricultural south. You made just a fairly digital Paulino that Reget Pro promote this one. The Oriental service, also for concepts, services, which information. And codify that boom, if you don't pass, you insisted on that financing and that's where we have it from. Vincent. Oh, what is Vincent Set Percet did not fund? Evolve. And then, when style are projects, interests employed by Pucks in summer. And a cry when this month we know that these agricultural entities use digital information to promote here, although his ties, Rubiales is very, I feel very concrete, very practical, even someone from the world. Dumar of which contained cooperatives. And even the scope of a project in which the state nuge. With more information than the Collins, for example. Touch, by Kooky Sam. For example, would you have equipped a vineyard? Just manage to warn a bottom. You producers, you associate. To be carried out in our treatments in a multi-more directional way. Raki, we use problems that have occurred. But Trucks and Art Monthly Territorsione Oleage Cells no, those projects are not the product. There are several territories of Portugal level. I have to soak a lot important, right? Who than Atlantis so digital? That's a municipal fondant bed. Oleazo also participated in several projects, also Intrex and others. Through its 100 size Agritech. They insist on other municipalities at the national level with these practices. He is not an important profundist. Why? Why didn't he found or Sylvia Grotech Municipal of Fondant, also of travelling that they use demonstrators? Winding web practically. How does it allow you to launch Presage apply in different technologies for ex-post techniques producers? The level of juxta, which occurred at the sector level, for example, will be not vineyard and among other cultures. Not only will this cloud sound grow to be a bullfighter and much important. Florenda and George to Timmy, things that kidnapped past the time. That this entire municipality, he is carried with a pen. Connectivity through. Are there so many companies with any agricultural producer? And what will I put in? Equipment. Of Monitrus's agent employed can serve this network by deeply. Allow this CU so that it allows not to found here a unit. Connectivity of a sector where there are several 15 experiments. And something fundamental about the fact that it is very Travella, it not only culminates temporal intermissions. NAC is very sorry a team, social classification and team building. Request for more coded maneuverer to finish. After all, 6. We were able to get a sector, we were able to do projects. I don't know, very important, similar all this coincides. At the national level, it is optical that you have stressed that there are more spaces that are going to be taken, there are many others. Muscaba on the occasion as well. ETK had is a model, it is who founded fictitious itself a mistake practically. And no, that they pretend that they intend to demine digital agriculture agricultura for.no only with market seminars. Do you say, for example, that a Ford of Agriculture what Don BI have promoted smartphones? The Floredino, because agricultural master promoted by the municipal bed of Fondant and Cristiano after atheists ID. From here, although to world row in level of faith of Tomento's robotic. Therefore, before several demonstrations can be agraba that occur each bleed. At the center level, there I don't work, here you are several demonstrators. Of technologies machines. And also of promotions that all match and use happy more expressively excuse me. And very warm. Oh, thank you so much. Obligatory acacias for the presentation of the practical voice and also for the latter. Event presentation. or where we can all fail quietly and network. Put on brigade that you were doing, thanks. We move on to Jose Silvestra's ancestor.
No te escuchamos, José. No sé si tienes el micro apagado.
We can't hear you, Jose. I don't know if you have the microphone off. I do not know. Can't hear you. Do you have the mic off? Can you turn on? You got it in mute now? Perfect. Thank you. Breed software in Shane's presentation mode. Come on, that's it.
Permitam-me começar por agradecer à Finnova e ao HIBA pelas oportunidade de vir aqui apresentar o que é que nós estamos a fazer em termos do INIAV, ao nível de projetos de investigação ligados.
Good day to everyone. Let me start by thanking Finnova and our VAT Plus opportunity here. I am going to present that we are not offering no project investigation link com, co-agriculture coat Ponserico digital, and another goes on one comporters. And can I present here in the presentation? Sound a little of the feeling of Infelton for breakout agriculture because it ascends with Basna Nicole not sensitive our priorities in times of research process. Eat Augustine organized main quarter, cultures with customs to work. What are the main digital techniques? And frying a little and presenting some more fruit trees at an academic level get theme projects. And all Kioab Winneba staff who think about the mystery of agriculture. And without a lack of research subturns, the economic and external areas have components for Resto's thematic components also multiplied animal. And then you, Smith, Zwatown style, one scientists, and technology stop point administration. Public policies and we are the important part, a Ministry of Agriculture. Subdivide activities transparent sound and monster sound so long here is 3 components. Yes, forgive me for interrupting you. We're only looking at the initial slideshow. I think you have to go through more. Slides, YouTube, slides thinks. It will return to us. We are looking at the first, that of the initial presentation. We're going to. Now yes, Jose. Now we do see. I do it on Fridays of an installation and fashion present. Yes, now perfect. Jose, I'm sorry for interrupting you. Yes. Okay then was already here to form a little bit, I don't want that attribution. S-owner. Primaria's team is an important part of scientific institutions that are national and trans. Lot and closed European, because also with protocols for Europe, predict community cost page Sunday page with Principino's United States. Tim's just as important as main national laboratory, it is thick to increase their animal stand health. Percy Pants, Navy sound to this plans of search control the areas of animal health times as it is environmental. And Tim's statement with my eyes review waves in the same opportunities framed in springs of search control, humiliatingly those courses sheets on Evernote. It's a computer to attack, to go over once again, isn't it?
A nossa estrutura em termos de investigação nesta área de digitalização tem sido enquadrada para a agenda de inovação Terra Futura.
We have structured in times of instigation star digitalization digite square of future. Is it being?
Para melhorar a produtividade agrícola, colocando o conhecimento como fator de competitividade e igualdade.
But very rare agricultural activity with the cultivation factor. Equality. This is organized in Quad First Society territory that I give in favor ICID. And in 15 emblematic initiatives in particular, it is called here. An emblematic initiative agriculture can no emblematic initiative today. It is organized in DAS synchros. A more recent with agriculture have estimated utilization technologies digitage, linked substitute, efficient optimization. Your reproduction filters pharmaceuticals use water and energy. I have a multinational cartoon to support and disseminate the digitally is a sector agroement. It is working with technology to provide new technological, agricultural movement. In particular, the Economic Information Technologies Sound U, IoT, and Twitter are run by artificial intelligence and robotics. It is fourth, it is related to post-DATS think explicability left technology prosmity. And finally, an amateur nanny with training and agriculture equipon semitursa digital. Which is fundamental, but mention this strategy. Comic is not a STEAM organized in projects of Thinvestiga Sound teams procure various fonts in first project medicinal and here. The boy has to Katie Pint Rafflio some more fruits fan cloud ponts lost a lot of time with him. No STEAM said trabi yada implucidad frame compromisado. Of artificial intelligence and knowledge, not attacks by. A great business tension that in the area of agriculture. Steve Dan Sun Prussia that therefore Gina Geek ended in 2023 with OI for off the agree. Here next, your previous template, times constructions market at protest level. And being a process in co-compromise, here we have very ferrots for Pampu Longosi 4. So skates and international national markets. Another important background that we see in processing times are the processors in squares or characters. And equity fans of thieves, themes, or dissonance that Katia that inhabit smartphones. I would also like to issue Rufiano with that Emi Dadwin Estek. Einstein is fulfilling many large numbers without mourning and technology multiplied towards the age of Phineas and fruit trees. And finally, Stein, Groth and a project you will not finish or not age agriculture quadponser a system meet a great pain of data utilization, in particular the data test of Motel. On IZAD Pro cheats international teams of 10. Feed a little bit that interject have been quite important for us. As we were very confirmed run over with Vibrats projects within Styler welcome. Co-technomify, because as ambifuses were we continued techno-ambif in different technology authorities for password and superficial to my FA. In particular, linked to estimative is nutrition. Investment teams Wabifar already long dominated robotic part. They show well that here a great procebo and surplus roll in. No, not by doing your research projects. Agriculture, G-Edit. And this process I have very large visit visa sound servant level 2 sensors, 1 plant and no source at San F-Moten level. Owners are your processes dialpios of experience, highlight here above all Dimitel. And WIFE was concluded in 2023 and thief offset very important such as impulsioner, adopt and technologies, advanced in hotel teams, big data, artificial intelligence sensors, tile observation. Pormet professional in-house platforms in the farmer and able to connect different systems. It extended to give power to the farmer through control and tracking. Eastman, Gary Tiers Guranza. Privacy and in order to seeds crucial in Quan. Integrate touch of your campus eternity, the primitive of sculptures. A lean reading is a process. Very subdirectional to replace product of vast court, treatment of definious treatment situations, define. I'm not very important, and if you've been in particular text mother's cover, we were able to be multi-space and perspectris. But an identific summit quantifies sound, Fox News. Domining fine.
Digital Innovation Hub era uma das linhas de ações, recordem da Agenda Terra Futura, da iniciativa emblemática Agricultura 4.0.
And lately we gave you investors coordinated in gatherings of agriculture quad-cancer initiatives. And it is that a great contributor. No Steinstone by Safety Eddie Agach Q Keisha is abstaining. And this useful, I have my sound be upon tuni that you are for a purpose of digitization agromity or prodo. Oprah. And you to support those who and half companies and public entities through their qualifications? Tester experimentation technologies. And it is that social financing that and this digital investment signing is 2018. Are cultures controversial? Cultures and these main cultures are, in short, and Ushma, in particular Bothsia. This steam sculpture is special, it's new pilots, an EP of blues environment. More timbrado as a culture of Oaxaca, as a culture, meanwhile. And with cultures produced, Castlut Matu, Gastamenti, pepper and Roman fruits.
Digitais que usamos, gostaria de destacar aqui os sensores de IoT e aqui trabalhamos quer ao nível das condições meteorológicas, quer ao nível do.
They are the main digital techniques cues and extrients in the face of who's simple and here we end weather conditions.
E também estamos a começar a testar as sondas NPK para a parte da nutrição.
I want software level with sunders of temperature, humidity, electrical continuity and tomations of thinking startups where always layer for part nutrition. Ionizal subturco Atlantean thermal image with AA food side with conversant the fruit trunk. The test of mode team stop period sir with imagining the Terry to in particular without final goisage. And Tortilla instructions multi-spat rice thermal vidar and Edward consents fracture equipants with Camry perspecta. Ice with this camera podcast 2 months of 1 year in Fin. Conventional and changes, depth and that are applied to various themes. Compare this wave of estimated production that the Marie Thank You feels is procured by the farmers of particular fruit trees. I have verified 3 days. Ethan Vane a little congest pragues with or intransigence armadillos.
E o principal é que aquilo que temos sentido é que quem tem os dados, os agricultores, normalmente não tem capacidade para utilizar ferramentas de inteligência artificial. E por outro lado,
this has been had some of first and I main, who felt who had the farmer data. Normally I do not have the capacity to use official intelligence tools. And on the other hand, Ken's and while it says artificial intelligence it's algorithms? At what temperature? Vison, computational and head scenarios compositions. Confusion, Datsu, and assigning soundtracks, that is, possible sound to the big data you data. Automate some that math IT sound. multistructure dynamics, Chimer Kings, Parabt and presence and coaching, among others.
Isto para nós é bastante importante em termos de INAV. Temos tentado reunir competências onde temos com outros parceiros da academia, mas também com empresas na área.
The main ones are fiscal, drinks, waves of applications, anxiety. You teams could discipline themselves prone of quite important, templing junior. Temps competitions as experts of the Mustang band economy with no one to entrepreneur. EACE, also owned by Finanzas Dogs. Puro team is going to present here to the academic consultation some published artics temps, the latest temps and menstruators dirty, but that you attention. Jose was forced by the presentation to say that all these presentations will be enabled for the public on our communication networks, social networks and the Dell CYBA website so that it was to consult it and it is also being recorded. This event so that you can also consult it through our social networks. We move on to the last part. On the process of raising awareness of agri-food digitalization. And we are going to give the floor to our colleague Eduardo. Edward has the floor. Thanks a lot. Jose Manuel. I'm sharing the screen. First of all, thank you very much to Nuria and Igor, to this one, to Katia and to Jose, for his interventions. What I'm going to talk about a little bit is also a little aligned with what I'm already talking about. Jose has commented a little, nothing more than what I seek in this case is more to raise that awareness. With respect to digitalization, I introduce myself, although Jose Manuel has already introduced me. I am Eduardo Mercado, the person responsible for the digitalization part at the Finnova Foundation. And more than anything, what I am looking for in this is to invite you to reflect collective about the present and future of the countryside. I don't come to give you a technical talk, I don't come to talk to you about things that they are very far away in being able to be realized. But I come to share more than anything, a message that is not from this observation. What is already happening in many rural territories? And that is becoming a silent but powerful transformation. Well, as we have been talking about, it is agri-food digitalization. Are we at a turning point? That the countryside is changing and will continue to change? The climate, the costs, the market. Everything moves very fast. And the question? We are moving to. This is our field prepared for what is coming. Can we adapt? Our farms, our cooperatives, our rural community to these new times. And so, the answer is clear and obvious and straightforward. It is not a yes. Maybe it doesn't have to. You are a great company to achieve this goal, if not. That you don't need to have computer skills either, or 1 degree specialized in this subject. Since today there are many tools that facilitate this whole process. What is needed is simpler, but deeper. And it is not something we do not know, but it is the will to learn, to adapt, to support each other in what they already know how to do well, and something that we have to think and see it this way is that digitalization is not the future. It is already our present and what? It is in our hands to want to take advantage of it. Because we already have access to everything that this entails. Why? Because, as we are seeing now, what is argumentative digitalization? In the end, they are digital tools, benefits, technologies. That many people are already doing it, but sometimes we don't realize it. Really. How many of us here check what the weather is like from their mobile phones to see? How is the field going to come out, or how much do you send a photograph by WhatsApp? On a plague to ask for a counsel. This part. It is also digitalization, although we do not want to see it in this way. It is a more basic, smaller digitization. But are we really already in that world with these kinds of actions that we are carrying out? However, we also have what is already a more advanced vegetation, in which we are going to have different types of tools. But we also have what is important, because in the end the objective of digitalization, it is more focused on what it is, the optimization of resources, costs, quality improvement. To be able to enter different types of markets, subsidies that we will see little by little within this same presentation. And to achieve that, we are going to apply what are the different types of sensors, weather stations, apps, GPS, satellite data that exist today, a lot of tools. That without the need for, that it is an excessive cost or that it has to generate a constantly high cost. Can these digitalization mechanisms participate and begin to be integrated? And we are not talking that digitalization, as you have already mentioned before, only occurs in large cities such as the United States, Germany. We also have it in Portugal and Spain. We are talking about cooperatives as well. In Extremadura they are already applying all this type of digitizations within this framework. Something also that is very important, that the objective is not that overnight you make the change of this digitization. If it is not a matter of doing it step by step, concrete steps, focused steps, with intelligence so you can work more efficiently. A way in which you can decide with data and not with assumptions. Yes, many farmers already have it. It starts rather from what is the experience of look to see from this, from all the years of experience that I have. This happens, but there is a variant in which, well, not anymore. The day depends on us relatively, because the climate, the market, it has different impacts, and this is causing there to be constant alterations, and that we cannot control that. Then, how will digitalization help us? Well, in having the data or the information in real time to be able to provide us with everything that corresponds to the type of product we have. How can we introduce it to the market? Is digitalization really? It is not to complicate things, it is to try to save time, save money, and live with a little better peace of mind. We're going to have different ones. Mechanisms that digitization is not only tools, we also have, for example, something called paint matching, which is broadly speaking, sharing information from different parts. By talking to people in whom it may be happening because there is a plague, for example, that is advancing slowly, which is already being done today. But that the objective of this, and more than anything, it is not something that is new that is being implemented. Maybe the concept is what is now being implemented, but if this information is shared, let us share it. Among us, that is the concept that is being handled, and obviously it is seeing success stories where they are being reduced to the best. Water consumption is becoming more efficient, more sustainable, through these mechanisms of sharing information, or networks of communication. We mentioned it, there are going to be different types of tools, sensors, connectivity, monitoring. We will be able to see it in a different way. Why is all this important? Because we are in a season in which there are longer, more frequent droughts. Inputs do not stop rising. Young people too. Do you no longer see a future in working in the field? The markets and the population itself today demand traceability, sustainability, and quality within the same products. And for all this is the front of the digitalization. And learn a little about what a lifeline that appears is. Understand. An opportunity that can help us to resist in this part as well, because that way it can help us to see more or less how much is being produced, how to take better care of the soil, the water, in different ways, unlike, and compare the different types of products found in the market. Then, digitalization cannot really stay only in large companies, but it is helping small companies to carry out this exploitation with the different mechanisms that exist. We're also going to have what robotics is already embedded. Within this, we will see a small video later that it is in collaboration with Microsoft, that Microsoft is a company that is no longer only today. He focuses on how many locate him by computers. If not good in computer operating systems, but it already gets into other fields, because digitalization, it is transforming in different ways. For example, from the IVA Plus project, we are working precisely on this, on trying to make digitalization happen. Every corner with this type of training. Within this program, what is digitalization? Well, we are going to have different types of mechanisms and tools that are going to make the best of what drones, tractors, harvesting robots are, in which we are going to make it more efficient. In the processes we will be able to visualize in a faster way. Different points. We will be able to do it automatically at best. Certain processes that may take a little more time, because in the end, repetitive tasks can be done in a more way, consistent and efficient. And for example, with all this information, as they commented, that we are going to store, because we will be able to have more optimized decisions. Will we be able to analyze the information better? Well, we will have all this collected by the satellite elevators. The next, the weather, the market. Therefore, I'll give you an example. Different cooperatives in Andalusia have implemented humidity sensors, with which they have managed to reduce water consumption by at least 20%, without losing your production. This translates, technically, into sustainable savings. And to have an image in front of the market, because as we said, many people today are looking for that traceability to know. How is it that these foods are not produced? For example, ranchers from Alentejo, because they placed what they are to their cattle, for example, GPSs, to be able to track them in real time where they are. Young people, also in certain rural sectors. They have designed an app that when we see designing a PPP today is no longer complex, as we often believed. The design of an app is now simpler, faster. Can it be done? Not without having to be a programmer really today, as well as you make a presentation that you are dragging things along. Do you give it a title or can you already make applications very easily? From all the information that we are collecting, and young people in a group of young people. He also made what this design of star, to be able to take away easier control, in which it was the irrigation schedule, the harvests, the treatments, with the aim of being able to help his parents. And with this, then, it helps them a little to be able to adapt in the territory. See. What was it like? Wasn't it bad to be able to mix all these tools? Create this efficiency. And here is a question. Why, if there are others who are already applying it, why not use those new tools that we already know are working? And that they can also be applied within our processes. In the end, What are the benefits going to be, or what are we going to gain from digitalization? Well, we gain time. How do we save time automating tasks? Avoiding unnecessary travel. Things that we can program and anticipate actions that are going to proceed. We are also going to gain greater precision. Do we know exactly what the crop needs and when? We apply products in a localized way because, as we know in cultivation, in the end, we can have you a land in which not in all the same parts of the same land or the same hectare, the yield of how it will grow. The cultivation is going to be the same, because maybe because of X or Y emotional, a certain section of the earth has been treated differently than the other. So with this we will be able know and apply products in a localized way to our own crop, detect problems before they get worse, more efficiently. Likewise, we are also going to have what we are going to be able to gain in terms of sustainability, perhaps using less water, less fertilizers, less phytosanitary products. We take care of the environment and improve the image of the product in front of the consumer because, as we know, not today. There is a lot of research on the awareness that we are taking care of the planet itself and that production. Nor does he have the same. Let's say that many chemists behind it and who are also exploiting the personnel who are creating this. Of course, this is the other side of the coin, not that the more sustainable, the more. It takes time for this to happen, because the costs are higher. But we also have. You see that the other side of yes, today many young people do you no longer see, or do you not like the field work with this issue of digitalization, seeing it in one more way? Focused. How can it also be a new way of working? We also gain opportunities among young people. Young people see the countryside as a future. What new ways of marketing? Because once, and it is a clear example, once they saw that different ones could be created. Virtual stores to sell shirts, caps, sneakers, merchandising on the internet. From sitting at their computers, you can see that opportunity as well. To create a marketplace or different marketing platforms. From the rural aspect. And that, well, to believe in new technical jobs in rural areas. In the end, digitalization is sowing a future not only for you, but also for you. Well, your town, your space, your community. There's also a real part. That the digitalization, it's not just about technology. Because technology as such, not only. It's applying yourself and wings, everything has already changed and everything has been solved. It is also a matter of transformation of how we use it. With what intention, with what context, should digitalization be a tool for services to people? Not the other way around. So we also need training adapted to the levels and rhythms of the rural environment, because, for obvious reasons, yes, a field or we have to look for a farmer, sorry. It is smaller, then. Obviously not, it's not going to adapt in the same way as maybe a big team. Then, well, these adapted formations should be created, constant accompaniment with nearby technicians. That make you feel comfortable. Specific aid also on this issue of digitizations for small farms, because sometimes we think that this is going to be an excessively high cost, but today, with all these changes and volatilities that are existing, perhaps small pushes are needed to help us achieve these objectives. And the human and collaborative approach? Now this is where all the cooperatives, the training centers, come in. The town councils, the provincial councils, the groups, in the way they can. And they must be within this digital ecosystem. In the end, digitalization is not about ceasing to be a farmer, but about the farmer. Have more tools to keep you going. This exploitation. And a lot of people will say, okay, but I'm going to need a lot of infrastructure to be able to execute this. Not really. Today, with the internet coverage that we have on our mobile phones, yes, there are many accesses to be able to make this communication. We don't need to. And to have a super advanced computer to be able to keep control, this not with a mobile phone. You can take this same control because they are already applications that can be managed from a mobile phone, a tablet. And what I was saying about training is the most essential thing because we will be able to create 1,000 tools, 1,000 processes, 1,000 intelligences to be able to achieve this. But if there is no training, this awareness of why it is important, then we will not be able to apply it. We will go here. There is an important part that I told you. That it is the government, because in the end the government itself is the one who asks us for the best. Let's stick to new regulations that are being made, but we need you too. This support for digitalization projects is given. Creation of programs like this, for example, this VAT project P. What, then, is this help looking for? But small subsidies may also be needed. Or well, no. Small large grants for create these digital tools. The promotion of collaborative networks. And in the end, one thing that maybe sometimes we don't see it tangible or that we do not see it possible is that if maybe you have this application that you have created and that says, look, I consider that this application can become widely profitable because it covers these needs, it adapts. Is it easy to apply? This can also become a project that can help, in addition to rural areas, to achieve modernization within it. Campo, then there are going to be many tools, many mechanisms, many ways to use digitalization, not only for the collective as such. How many? How many crops? No, they are also carrying out analyses, they are carrying out understanding of seeing how a certain type of crop is evolving. What happens if you apply a certain type? Wind pressure. What happens if you apply this fertilizer? What happens if you apply it? This different mechanisms of cultivation, then. Digitalization is going to help us to be able to make one more analysis. Tangible in all this. What is currently being done? Applying more in the subject of horseback riding, use of drones, because that allows you to monitor a greater distance from the growth of artificial intelligence. Why? Because in the end what artificial intelligence is going to help you is to and chop more efficiently. Certain data, certain variations, faster analysis. That at the time it is also achieved, but it takes a slower process. And likewise, robotic innovations that, as I tell you in the video that we will see now later. This part is detailed. What does digitalization look like? Agri-food in different sectors, different forms. And what is sought? In a more way. Easy, basic, because that's that part. Motivation to stay up to date with technology. This is a complex issue. The issue of staying up to date with technology, because in the end technology is changing every day. Is something new happening? But is it important to stay within these digital farming communities? So that all this information can be shared, that experience can be shared, WhatsApp groups or different means can be used to share this information. Forums of information within, from different sectors to be able to get to all this general information. And broadly speaking, before moving on to class, make a reflection. Again, digitalization is a transformation for you. Let's have new tools. sustainability, efficiency, and being able to have better performance. It is important to start making this change of mentality because it is not only technology that they can see that they are really new practices and new working methods for farmers. And well, a very important role is that of small farmers, because in the end, there are, I think, a little more small farmers who have not yet managed to adapt. But what? By making this change little by little with them, a very big change can be achieved. I'll quickly put this video on. This video is 7 minutes long, but hey, I'll cut it earlier so you guys can visualize a little in what mechanics or what this digital transformation that is being undergone. The what is agriculture within the market, in this case, the transformation that we are going to see is applied a little in the United States, which as we know is the technological part. That it is revolutionizing and that many times all that is brought here. Then, it is a little focused on that part, but it does not mean that because it is focused on the United States, these technologies cannot be applied within Spain and Portugal. And 1 second and I share them again screen with the video. Here it is.
So did you change the pump?
The pump's new, yeah. Burned out. Completely burned out. It was hot.
Daniel Alameda is a third-generation farmer in the Salinas Valley, where he grows thousands of acres worth of broccoli, cabbage, and lettuce, among other things. Like with any farmer,
Warriors thousands, the bakers what the broken cabbage and leeches Amaneta thanks.
Alameda turned to a cutting-edge solution, an AI
Solution.
leader. The device, which attaches to the back of his existing tractors, uses high-resolution cameras and sensors to automatically
Uses high-resolution cameras and sends
with a precise dot of herbicide.
So what the driver sees in the cab is real-time footage of what's happening. The crop that's there and the weeds that we are trying to remove. The driver sees the machine analyzing the data and then taking the shot. You're seeing decisions made in real time. We definitely had no AI not that long ago. The owner-operator manager was the AI. We were making the decisions. But we realized quickly about 10 years ago that we could use software to make better decisions. We are trusting AI to make us better, more
We are trusting AI to make.
We're starting to kind of notice AI getting a lot more penetration on farms across the country. Farmers are using
Better world fishing and faster we're starting that connect getting all the more penetration and forms across the country.
Using AI between a weed and a crop, and a lot of them are using data collection to just suck up all of the information.
Using data collection to just suck up.
Is the biggest farm machinery maker, and they have a goal by 2030 to be able to farm 100% autonomously. So I think this stuff is here to stay, and there's really not a lot of other ways to just kind of get it all done.
This reeling not a London other ways to just can't get all done. UC Davis researcher you think I in another way.
So they can make them healthier or more resilient to changes in the environment.
What you're seeing here, the first prototype in half a day was this thing, a bird box right now. It's one thing to collect the data. That part's actually kind of easy. You go out in the field, you collect the data, but then you generate this massive data set. It's like, imagine if you took your camera, instead of just taking red, green, and blue, which is what it does now, took another 400 bands of light. So it's this cube of pictures. And so what you end up with is this massive data set.
Pictures en southing of the wet.
That's where artificial intelligence comes in.
That's why old official intelligence consent.
Models to detect everything from the size and shape of a flower to the direction
Training computer models to detect everything from the shape of the flower.
Plant breeding is really interesting application for AI. Let's say we're working on bean. In this example here, what we have is over 330 different genotypes of beans that have been planted out in a field. And so what you're looking for is like maybe some of these have really big beans or certain patterns or the protein content is high or the fat content is high. It's just really hard to measure and see and score by humans on the ground. And then if we can process all that data using machine learning and AI, it allows us to extract those complex traits.
By humans on the ground and picking process all the data using machine gardening and last to extracts complex trade. Patting farmers from 50 years, the god of the sow. We can rapidly accelerate a process of searching through all this possible. Right, the streets, the weather bad can take us from. Taking thordigers to Brit the craft.
Like AI and machine learning and bring those two together. I think there's something really magical about that idea.
Like AI and machine learning EN premium into something really magical. What's the right time? A beer for me to Big Ben setting up my respirators?
Tools being created in collaboration with the team at Davis aren't just about using AI to process and analyze data. Rick and Gandhi has
Creative in collaboration me the time of Davis on just the out using the processes and analyze data. Rick and Gandhi building of log language model up the farmers and development nation Sedes Muster. India, Kenya, Ethiopia, Nigeria.
But they're not looking for generic Wikipedia or ChatGPT answers. They're looking for information that is proximate to them and location specific. There's a bunch of challenges that
is building a type of view for farmers, but is their outlook looking for generic Wikipedia or Chat Betty answers the looking for information that is proximate and locations pat. Challenge the face there is the need to support all the various languages and dialects stats farmers speak. Chemical names. It was from the crazy Coloco. Ila ENL Zonac speech text ped also text speech. That farmers of headlow leadercy enviable interactor this stom. Is not we dot is orden and butter mental causes. Something those whacking in foeman. Training of language model can use up millions of gallons of water. Intelligence can't to real damage to the land and powers the round. This farmer so have been left down at our collective.
We also have to ensure that there is inclusivity to be able to access this technology, even if there
inclusive access the technology.
And cost for them to do so. It's about
I beam, after my, an expansive, energy and cost of the user.
How AI impacts the environment and is that relevant to agriculture is a really important one we should be asking. On the research side, we're using, honestly, very small amounts of resources, like a few GPUs, 8 to train these, whereas
Research I'd where you think on slave very small amount resources like AU GPUs.
months as opposed to 8 hours. So I don't worry too much about our personal impacts. I know what they are. But I think like when you think of
Thousands for Monet Mod's house I don't worry to Muge better personal invest I know it are.
We are at the beginning. It's moving quickly.
We are it to again.
We come back and revisit this 3 to 5 years from now, we're going to be pretty blown away with the impacts that it's had already.
We can't back and revised. The story of the 5S Una Orden predict long away with and back.
We have Dai here to see the shots well.
The weed-killing robot that Daniel Alameda used on his farm is produced by a company called Verdant Robotics. Gabe Sibley, who spent his
Q Sun Software and show here is South Queer's live feed Desta Robo right work we have 10 shots well to weed calling robot the Daniel Alameda used phone as pretty used by company Call of Duty, Rockpot Sex.
Where am I? It also solves the what problem. What am I looking at?
Knows where is things special AI the last of the sold the were problem were where my thought problem. War, my locking. A card SL weak, but type of weed.
The thing that you have to understand is that it's not the navigation of the tractor that's the job they're worried about. It's the
Not the navigation of the tractor that job they're where are about.
Work at Starbucks or Walmart or in a data center labeling images. That shift in labor is the one that's causing them heartache. efficiencies we need in ag are substantial. In the next 50 years, there are folks that say we need to grow as much food as we've grown in the last 10,000 years.
There are folks that say we need to grow foods we going last 10,000 years.
More sustainably and more efficiently.
What you'll hear over and over is just a tight labor market. There's never enough sort of field workers or machinery operators.
Why on Overnava just the time lava market Thursnava and of sorta field workers where?
Would kind of push their kids to find careers elsewhere, but
Recommend a children, Stein and the farming and with candy poster ked the fine crescent.
Generation that's interested in video games or that's interested in new technology. And that
New technology. Generation that interstation and video games. En that my pie way. The Sir of the Star client back.
Big toe in the water for the first time, and it seems like it might be inviting. It's also a little scary. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. As a species, as we start to automate all types of work, really not just agriculture, you've now entrusted
Not yet
that work
transcribed,
to
just danger
machines.
culture.
And so we better make sure that we are still in control. The difficulty then is like
Better mature we are still in control.
We better.
The difficulty switch case of the embarred F. Oh, well. As we have seen, that is, digitalization. It has many areas in which they can be applied. Currently, that is not only a part of only technology that but is also looking for power. Cover different topics, different areas, different places. And that this one can also exist. Let's say, competition. Equalized between all levels of types of farmers. Because sometimes, yes, it happens that they say, well, how do I apply the digitalization that you are applying? Great company. When I don't, I can sell my product at the same price, then. The goal of all of this is to achieve this part of equality. And really? Simplifying and summarizing everything that has been said on my part. Is digitalization really? As it says in this text, it is from the agricultural sector represents an invaluable opportunity to improve efficiency and sustainability. It is fundamental. Immerse yourself in the different digital tools that exist at the moment. Take advantage of the collaborative networks that exist in the different communities. And the future of this sector must adapt to be able to make effective use of all these technologies. Here interest of all these new tools, that there are a variety of tools to be able to execute what corresponds to digitalization. We can share them with you in the same presentation you are watching. And any doubts, I am at your disposal. Here you have my mail for anything that. Can I help them? Sharing more information, different tools. Suppliers that I want to say no, we do not take anything at all. What we really look for is that people can to get involved and to be able to enter this world that sometimes not everyone wants to face at this time, but that little by little is necessary to be introduced into it. Little YY curious universe of technology. Thanks a lot. Jose Manuel, you're with the microphone. Could it be? Yes, thank you, Eduardo. Thanks to our three speakers, Katia Painter, Jose Silvestre, Eduardo Mercado. In this Awareness Day that we have carried out, within the framework of the IVA plot, as Eduardo Bueno commented, or digitalization are new ways of to market, to share information and to make our agricultural productions profitable and sustainable. What about our product? Agri-food, I also really liked what you have commented, Eduardo, where you commented that digitalization is not only a technology, but also a tool at the service of the people who allow us, not only to help our farms to make them more sustainable and improve them, but also
Y ese es el mensaje que queremos transmitir aquí, que utilicemos la digitalización para mejorar.
Something important that you have said about exchanging knowledge with our clients and professionals in the sector. You have talked about that benchmarking component, about that formula of power and exchanging knowledge. Why that is the message that we want to convey here, that we use the digitization so much to improve products, processes and services, as well as to exchange information and be able to use that digitalization to be a community where that information flows and that we all benefit, right? That is the objective for which. But we have had these three speakers. Eduardo has explained it very well as well. Has Katie visualized it with those examples you have given? Why Jose Silvers, of course, has also put those tools at the service that is being given by exploiting from NIAS QYQ Esterol Servicio. We have had a very interesting day. We set ourselves one QR to ask questions to users have us. At least I haven't received any, so let's hope so. Upcoming awareness digitization days that we make us do. Interact a little more with each other. The speakers we have. And so does our audience that follows us. And thank you all for your time and to be with us.